Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly edition where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us today on the Media Boat podcast for the week of October the 29th, 2024. Yes, that means that today is our unofficial scary Halloween episode. But honestly, we don't really have much scary stuff to talk about.
Do I get to dress up now?
I mean, if you want, you can put on the hat. I'm not
Uh,
really dressed up.
I'll keep the hat on then.
Sure. Yes. The YouTube thumbnail will love that. And it's episode 459. So just a little update about where we're
Uh,
at. 460 next week. That's exciting.
yeah, 460 next week.
460.
That's also next week is the election.
Correct. Yes. So we will be recording, I guess, while election results are coming in. We will not, of course, give you a beat by beat explanation of them because we are not a political podcast. But if something interesting happens, hey, maybe you'll hear it first here. Probably not because
I
this is
mean,
not a
you won't
live
hear it
show.
first, but you'll get our initial reactions of us hearing it.
Yeah.
Is
I don't know. Although these things are never decided the day of, so probably not. You'll probably
uh
just see us stressed
not
out.
in 16 years,
Yeah, yeah.
20
Uh,
years,
I guess
20
I'll have
years. It was
to.
decided pretty early. 2000, the 16 years, 2008 was decided pretty early,
I guess.
and so was
But yeah,
2004. Ever since then, it's been a drag.
I guess we can record while wearing our I voted stickers. So there's that.
Yes,
Anyway.
yes. Even though definitely going to send that in before.
Oh, I already submitted my ballot. Yeah, that's not even. I just have the sticker waiting for vote for election day so I can put it on.
Right, so you can go to Baskin Robbins and get your free scoop,
Hell yeah. Yeah, exactly.
and then
All
you
right.
can go to Krispy Kreme and get your free donut.
If only I had either of those near me. That'd be great. But I
All right.
don't.
Hey, we're not a food podcast, we're a media
No.
podcast. So let's start with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the Hot 100.
And I have
And
to
the hottest.
apologize because I jinxed this. We said we were pushing him out of the top five and that he was going to be gone this week, but I forgot.
Technically, it is correct.
Yeah, but I
Um,
forgot that artists put in out new singles all the time.
yeah. So the hottest song in the land is Love Somebody by Morgan Wallen. At two, a bar song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. Tuning at three, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. At four, Die with a Smile by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. And rounding out your top five, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
Yep.
Yep, all it did was push Post Malone out of the top five.
Yeah. Ironically enough, Morgan
Yep.
Wallen replaced for Morgan Wallen
Well,
and Post
he
Malone.
had some help.
Yes, indeed.
As for your album chart, your Billboard 200, at number one is Lifestyle by Yeet.
Yeet.
At two, we have Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. Coming in at three is last week's number one, Beautifully Broken by Jelly Roll. At four, Last Lap by Rod Wave. And rounding out your top five, 17, 12th mini album, quote, Spill the Feels, EP by 17, all caps.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like every single one of these K-pop EPs, mini albums, as they love to call them, always charts somewhere every week. It's so funny.
Well, because you get through the album twice as fast.
Maybe. I just realized I also have a Halloween hat I can wear.
Mhm. All right. While you get that on, we will talk about new releases, including Night Palace by Mount Eerie and Songs of a
Power.
Lost World by The Cure. Yes, that Cure.
Yes. Close enough. All right.
It works.
The taco.
A Taco Mario Party.
Yes, Taco Mario Party. That's what you can name this episode.
Probably
Um,
will.
yeah, not that
All
many
right.
new releases this week.
No, because it's Halloween. And if you're not doing the Monster Mash, or you're not watching Coco like you should be on the first, as you.
Oh, we burned that one a couple weeks ago. We watched it early.
uh
No, we're gonna do Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, and we're gonna do
we did that one last night.
I forget some other special, but yeah,
We did that one last night. I watched House of Usher and I already watched uh Werewolf by Night.
yeah, yeah.
So my three are checked.
There you go.
But the we'll get into about it, but the Agatha All Along finale
Yeah.
is on Halloween.
Oh,
So that's a two-part
hmm.
finale. We'll cover that next week. But we're in
Excellent.
music section. So let's talk about Oasis. You know, the band that did and did not and did break up and did not break up.
Yeah.
Well, we got some numbers as more than 50,000 tickets were sold for Oasis 2025 UK reunion tour. But those tickets will be canceled. As promoters, Live Nation and SJM confirmed to the BBC on Monday. The promoters said that all invalid tickets will be made available again through official seller Ticketmaster at face value. The problem-plagued British on sale for the tour, announced in August, was the latest in a series of ticketing debacles due to the demand far outweighing the supply. Around 1.4 million tickets were on sale, but more than 10 million fans across 158 countries attempted to buy them. Inevitably, within hours, the secondary market was flooded with tickets at vastly inflated prices. When tickets went on sale, fans were told they could only purchase tickets at face value through Ticketmaster or resale partner Twickets
Wickets.
in an effort to prevent scalping. They later claimed that approximately 4% of the inventory, which is about the 50,000 tickets as mentioned, landed on resale sites. The promoter said they expect to cancel those tickets in the coming days, noting that fans who believe they had their tickets canceled in error will be able to speak to the relevant ticket agent to have their case investigated.
So yeah, I thought this story was interesting, less so for the Oasis stuff and more so about this is an interesting tactic to get at scalpers. Is basically like pulling the rug under all those resold tickets and being like, actually, no, you guys cheated, so you don't get to go to the concert anymore. If you want it, go to Ticketmaster when they're on sale and get it at face value. Trying to de-incentivize scalping. Um, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird because it's already happened. And so a lot of people who are like, well, I at least I'm going. Sure, I had to pay hundreds of dollars more, but at least I'm going to go see Oasis. Unfortunately, they are the ones that get kind of shafted here because all of a sudden they're not going to Oasis. But again, it's like it's just the problem is Ticketmaster, and the problem is how the process works. And this is a solution, if a sloppy one, to the problem. Yeah, I don't know if it's the best, but it's something. And Oasis's people thought that it was going to be the best they could do right now with things how they are.
Right. I mean, this is a very small portion of
Yeah,
the what 1.4 million tickets. Talking about 4% here. So
yeah,
while it is something, it's not a solution to the bigger problem. For those of you who were able to snag Oasis tickets, well, firstly, big fuck you, just right up there.
yeah.
Second, congratulations. I do hope you go. And third, I sincerely hope the brothers do not fight again and cancel this damn tour.
You never know.
You never know. All right. Let's get into some thoughts because we, or at least I listened to a pair of these albums.
Yes, I actually listened to both of these as well.
Okay, but you only remember to put down one.
Yeah, I know because I didn't listen to the second one until you put it down on this Google sheet, and then I
Oh,
listened to
so
it.
you recently listened to it. So let's get into that one then.
Yes, yes. Let's
Let's
start
talk
there.
about Patterns by Kelsea Ballerini.
Kelsey. Yeah, Kelsea Ballerini. Not an artist I'm super familiar with. Not somebody who's been 100% in my radar. But is just outside of it, like is a friend of a friend, if you will. You said you were going to check this out. What did you end up thinking about this?
I thought it was a really interesting album because it felt like she was talking to all her contemporaries in the music industry and sort of both like back talking them and also talking about them and to them and saying why they're wrong on their stuff. And it was really, really fun to listen to because it felt like she was taking jabs at Maren Morris, at Taylor Swift, at Miranda Lambert, just all these like top tier talent in the industry right now that I don't think she's at that level to be making those kind of uh songs and judgments about. But then again, she does have the hits. So it's kind of like a give and take because the back half where she gets out of that's comfort zone and like actually like sings her songs, I liked. I liked what I heard. But that first half, oh, that was fiery. That was feisty. And I kind of like that even more.
It is interesting. I didn't really see them as attacks as much as I did just maybe some references. I think it's interesting how both lyrically and sonically she's trying some things outside of the country comfort zone. She's kind of similar to Maren Morris in that way. I think they also have similar vibes. Her voice reminds me a little bit of Maren's, how it can kind of it's not country and it's like so country where she feels like she can only do one kind of style. She's got kind of a pop edge to her that lets her experiment with some other stuff. Um, but you're right. There is like some pointed references. But yeah, I think that that's earned. I think that the songs are interesting enough for that to work. And yeah, I also had a good time with it. I would kind of put this in the middle for me between the Morgan Wade record I listened to earlier in the year and the Miranda Lambert record. Like it's somewhere in the middle of those two things. Like I said, closer to a Maren Morris. Um, and there were a few songs where I was like, where it reminded me of other people's songs. I thought the song Wait in particular was very Swifty. Like it had
Mhm.
a Swifty style to it. And I'm like, I had a thought for a second. It's like, I should see who wrote this. But yeah, it's interesting how she's able to like experiment a little and how she's established. It feels like her establishing that she is not one thing, that she is trying to be a different kind of country artist, like a crossover artist in a way.
I mean, that's what Casey Musgraves kind of has been doing,
Yes.
especially with the Better Well album, which was released this year
Deeper
and
well.
almost deeper well, almost forgotten about. Because that opening song on this album, I felt like deeply inspired by that, or like
Yeah,
taking
could
jabs
be.
at it. But
Again,
yeah,
I don't necessarily see the negativity that you see, I guess, but yes, I think there's a possibility that they're just covering a lot of the same ground.
possibly. I think it's not really like native, like I'm attacking.
Hmm.
No, that's exactly what I said. It's more of I see what you did, but now I'm going to make it better because I'm better
Sure.
than you. All right. So speaking of being
Sure.
better and being better than other people, Halsey came out with an album.
Segue is that.
It's a segue to the title called "The Great Imposter Impersonator."
So there's a lot to dig into here. I don't know how we're going to tackle all of it.
I don't think we have time to tackle all of it.
No, we don't. So if you recall, the last time we saw Halsey, she released a record produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross of Nine Inch Nails.
Mhm.
It was one of my favorite records at that year. I thought it was extremely cool that she was able to do something like that. I thought it worked. I thought like it was an interesting like concept album. I thought it was very cohesive and it was really awesome to see Halsey go in that direction because it was like nothing she had done before. Um the lead up to this record has been interesting because she's kind of pitched it in an interesting way. The name The Great Impersonator kind of hints at her approach here. Basically, the idea was to do a kind of different style song for every track on the album. And as part of the lead up to the album, she did like photo shoots where she was impersonating the artist that she was kind of tribute, like making a tribute to with these songs. And so yeah, you can Google it. There's all sorts of like this her as David Bowie, like her as Dolly Parton, like different kind of like vibes to match the different vibes of each track on the record. So I was a little concerned going into it. I was like, well, it's going to automatically, if you have a concept like that, the problem you're going to run into is that it's not going to be cohesive, that it's going to be kind of all over the place because it literally is all over the place. But at the same time, the other part of kind of the ramp up to this album is Halsey revealing that she was really sick for a period of time and that this album was written in a very vulnerable period of her life and that she was going through a lot. And all of that comes through in the album. Like she is going through a lot, and you can tell. It's a very heavy record. It's a very sad record, but that's balanced, interestingly, by the different genre experiments she's doing throughout. I think it's very good. I think it's very ambitious. I think that there's a lot of cool stuff happening here and a lot of Halsey stretching into ways that we've never seen her stretch before. And it's very impressive what she's put together here. I don't know if I like it as much as the last record. I think I like that album felt cohesive, and I like that it felt like it was telling a story. This also is telling a story, but it's a little bit in stops and starts, and it's a little bit like my worry with some of the songs, not all the songs, but some of the songs is that if you try so hard to emulate a specific artist, you're gonna lose a little bit of it. And I know that with the lyrics being so personal, there's a little bit of pushback there, but I just didn't feel like it was enough for it to feel like this unique thing that felt as special as I wanted it to feel. But it's fascinating and there's a lot going on. And the fact that every track is different is just very, by the time you're done with it, you're just like, whoa, okay, all right, roller coaster. I need to think about like putting the pieces back together of what this thing that I just listened to was. And yeah, I've listened to it 3 full times now, and I'm still trying to figure out whether I like it, which is weird.
How were you able to listen to that to 3 full times?
Separate
'Cause like I said,
days.
it's heavy.
Yeah, separate
It's
days.
it's a lot to take in. It's
It
a
is.
very heavy subject as she goes and talks about like herself. And
Yeah.
like I said, these tracks vary from one to another. It like at first it did feel really disjointed,
Yeah.
but the through line of it being Halsey's personal experiences in here, especially that line about not wondering if you're going to make it to 27,
Yeah.
like hits, and the
Mhm.
lines hit after hit after hit. I think those first like 3 tracks of themselves don't even have a like solid chorus. They're all just long odes to just her journey.
Yeah, I felt it really starts strong. I really like the first half of this record. I think it slows down a little bit in the middle, and it's mark your bingo cards at home, folks, but it's a little too long. I know I say that about practically every single album, but it's true. I just don't know. I feel like there's some stuff that could have been excised here for just a briefer, more concise statement to be made. I think there's a version of this album that is better because it's a little bit loses a little bit of the weight towards the end. Um, but yeah, it starts amazingly. Like you mentioned those first 3 tracks. I think those first 3 tracks are probably the best tracks on the record. I think that there's a lot of highlights here and definitely a lot of stuff that will stick with me. But you're right, it's a lot to take in. It almost reminds me, remember the most recent Kendrick Lamar record, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Similar vibe for me, where I'm like, I can acknowledge that it's good and I get the high points of it. But then by the end of it, I'm like, okay, all right, now do anything else because I need to think about something else and I need to like figure out whether I actually enjoyed the experience I just had.
Right.
Fully.
It's hard to want to jump right back into it.
Yeah, no.
Whereas with other albums that are lighter, like Patterns, Kelsea Ballerini,
Mhm.
you can jump right back into it. You can just hit repeat and be like, okay, that was fun. Let's go right back in.
Yeah, it's
It takes a
fascinating.
toll.
It's absolutely fascinating. And I think that there's some really, really cool stuff happening there. However, it's just as a statement, I just don't know if it's enjoyable. But hey, art's not supposed to necessarily always be enjoyable. It's yeah, it's something. I don't know. I don't know what else to really say about it. I just actually, out of curiosity, checked to see what the Pitchfork review says. Holy shit, I need to read this review. But I'm seeing that 4.8.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see how this could be divisive. I could definitely see how this could be something that's really impresses you and is like, oh my God, this is one of the best records of the year. But I could also see why somebody would listen to this and be like, oh boy, I don't know about this. And that may be the opinion of this author. So I'm very curious. I'll read this later, but man,
It's definitely one that I'm gonna go back to as we get towards the end of the year here to
sure.
see if I
Check
does end up
out.
on my top five.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Anyways, did you listen to anything else?
No, that kind of took up my time. Although, well, that I'm going to talk about here. I'll just toss in real quick. I did listen to Evergreen, the new album by Soccer Mommy. I liked it. I don't think it's her best. But I will briefly say if you liked her second record, which his name is blanking on me, this is similar to that. I think it's interesting how she kind of went back to basics here. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. Just hey, if you like your stuff before, then yeah, it's another strong record from her.
All right. With that, let's go into video games, where we start with start with old releases as Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered comes
Yeah,
to the PC and the PS5. That's right. This isn't the sequel. This is the original
right,
Horizon Zero
correct.
Dawn. We also have Shadows of the Damned, Hella Remastered for the PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Switch. You got it. You can play it. There's also Totally Spies, Cyber Mission for everything, wide release. You got it. You can play it. Is this for the 90s kid in you?
Guess so.
Why is there a Totally Spies game?
Why it? I don't know. Also, that's like a 2000s thing. It's not that in the 90s thing. It's not that old. Yeah,
Well,
I
no,
don't
it's for
know.
people born in the 90s who will appreciate Totally Spies. There's also Clock Tower, Rewind for everything. Wide release. You got it. You can play it. And we got a couple of big hitters. Oh, Red Dead Redemption for the PC, I guess, if you hadn't already played Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
All right, now we get the big hitters. It's here. Life is Strange, double exposure.
Yes.
For the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch. If you didn't do the pre-order bonus pick,
Correct.
who's pay for it, the episodes are out now. Two episodes,
Well,
not the full
no,
game.
this is all of them.
This is all of them?
The two episodes were what the preview got you. But as
Right.
of
I thought that's what
today,
this is.
right, right. No, as of today, this is release day. Today.
Oh, okay. So it's
The
full
whole thing
thing.
is out. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that game is out. I have seen conflicting reviews. I have not played it yet, obviously, because I'm sitting here right in front of you. But I do plan on playing this before next week. Christy and I are planning to stream it in some form. I don't know if this is going to be on her channel or my personal one or on the Media Boat channel. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, she wants to play it with me, kind of like watching me play. So yeah,
All right.
I'll talk about it next week to see what my reaction is.
Based on your reaction, I may or may not end up picking this up. Let me know real quickly though, because that way we can talk
Yeah.
about it next week.
Oh man, that means I'll have to be spoiler free just in case you play it.
Well, it has to be spoiler free. You just have to tell me early on, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this game. You should play it. You should pick it up.
I'm just
But
checking the store right now to see how much okay, it's 49.99. Okay,
yeah.
that's not bad. All right.
All right. Let's see here. But a game you should not be picking up, according to every review I've seen so far, Dragon Age: The Veilguard for the PC, PS5,
Interesting.
and Xbox Series X.
I've seen some positive takes as well. So I
I've
guess
seen
I'm
the
seeing
negative
reviews
takes
that
on
you did
this.
not see, but interesting. Okay, yes, Dragon Age is back. The Age of Dragons is
Yep.
upon us.
But everything, get out of the way. Big release coming right to your pocket.
What?
The monsters in your pocket. You can
Wow.
trade them in a game of cards. Now mix them all together. Pokemon trading card game Pocket coming to
Yes.
mobile this week. Today, I think, right?
Yeah, so no, it's tomorrow,
Tomorrow,
technically.
30th.
But yeah, so I know I typically don't cover mobile games here, but this was an exception, and the reason why I'm making an exception is because we're definitely gonna play this, and we're definitely
I've
both gonna
already
check
got
this out.
pre-registered. Yeah.
Yeah, so needless to say, we'll check this out. We'll let you know how it is next week. I'm very the biggest thing I'm curious about for this is that when they announced this, they promised that this would be a somewhat simplified version of the Pokemon card game. That's fascinating to me because I've literally played this Pokemon card game since the beginning, and I lost track of how it went. And now I recently, when they put that new PC game out, I tried playing the modern version again, and I was like completely at sea. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why I'm losing so badly. I have no idea what all these rules are. So I think a simplified version of the rule set would be really interesting, and it would maybe return it to a little bit of its roots. Because I used to love the Pokemon card game. I was the one kid collecting the cards to play the game amongst a sea of friends who are all like, "What, you play the game? We just collect them." And so I used to have to play the Pokemon card game by myself because I didn't have any friends who actually wanted to play. I taught my family members to play against me so that way I would have real people to play against. I loved playing the card game up until like probably like the Diamond and Pearl era, and then I dropped off.
Yeah, it's interesting because like with Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, when that came out and brought all the mechanics from like years that have continued to grow the game. Same thing. People felt like, whoa, I this game wide open blew right by me. So going back to something simpler could be fun. And yeah,
Yeah.
we will be talking about this next week.
Yes, next week. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
So let's get into some video game news, and we're going to talk about some games we will not be playing, not be talking about anymore, and some studios that have officially closed.
Yeah.
And to the shock of absolutely nobody, Sony has decided to close the creator of its troubled live service game, Concord.
Yeah.
Firewalk Studios will be permanently closed, Sony Interactive Entertainment said in a statement today, as will mobile game maker Neon Koi. Sony announced plans to take Concord offline, pull the game from sale, and offer refunds to all players who had bought it just 2 weeks after it launched in August, citing poor reception from players. Oh
I
no.
mean, yeah, it's hard to be too shocked here. Sony typically does this. But it's sad. It is sad to see a lot of these developers who were just doing their job, who made some pretty good content in Concord, get laid off as a result of its failure, which a failure that's mostly to blame on Sony for greenlighting the project, for putting such restraints on the project, making it be something very specific in an ecosystem that couldn't handle it. That just in an audience that just wasn't ready for it and wasn't interested in the thing that it ended up being. There's some talented people who probably worked on this game who now have to find new jobs and quickly, which you never want to see. It's very sad, but they're not the only ones that may need to find new jobs soon.
Nope, because Ubisoft has officially disbanded the team responsible for Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, according to a new report. YouTuber Gotos, part of the French YouTube program Origami, reported the news on Tuesday, citing sources including multiple developers from Ubisoft Montpellier. According to Gotos, the game's initial sales were lower than expected, meaning any possibility of a sequel was effectively ended within weeks of the first game's release.
Yeah.
The report says that some members of the development team pitched a sequel, which turned into a pitch for two DLC expansions instead. It also claims that Ubisoft's justification for rejecting the sequel pitch was that the release of the sequel would cannibalize sales of the original game, which were already lower than expected.
Yeah. This is another sad one, but sad for a different reason. Obviously, it's sad that some of these employees are not going to be able to go over to a new project very quickly. But also because I heard such good things about the Lost Crown. I heard it was a really good Metroidvania, and it was really impressive that they were able to pull that off with the Prince of Persia franchise. So just because it didn't sell quite as well as they wanted, it looks like it's just that all these people are getting scattered to the wind, and they can't even make more content for this game that they clearly really loved and wanted
Mhm.
to make more of for an audience that seemed to really enjoy it, that wanted more of it. This is not a Concord situation. These are very different situations that both end up in the same location, right? Is you have one game didn't sell well, but also was derided critically. Then you have a game that was critically beloved, sold decently, and is still getting treated with the same disrespect. And it's just sad. It's just sad to see both these things happen right after each other, especially with such like games and people with promise. And like, yeah, I don't know. It's sad. Ubisoft, it seems like a total mess also right now with this and everything else. It's just with Assassin's Creed being booted to next year. It's just like they can't figure out anything right now. Like that's good enough for their like high expectations.
If it's not a game as a service, they're not going to try and give it the time of day past what they initially purchased.
Yeah, not everything's going to be Rainbow Six Siege for them, and they have to realize that after a period of time. But yeah, it's almost like they're the new Square Enix, where it's like every game coming out is like, oh, it didn't sell as well. Sorry, you guys, you're out. But anyway, so yeah, disappointing.
Yeah. Uh, anyways, you played
Anyways,
a game.
I played a lot of a game actually.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's 2007 all over again, friends. There's a new Call of Duty game out, and it maybe has absorbed a little of my free time. Just most of it, I would say. I was playing before I started here. It's why I wasn't logged in right at 4:30. Match went a couple minutes late. But yes, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is here. And for people who don't want to pony up 69.99 for it, or however much it costs these days, it's on Game Pass. So if you're over Game Pass Ultimate account, you can play it right now. But click on the install first. It's going to take a while to install. It's a big, meaty boy. But
Now, is it meaty to where people who have the Xbox Series S version too big to put on the on the hard drive?
see, smaller this year actually than last year. It's only about 60 gigabytes. So
Okay.
you can be a little bit more economical than you were before. So as most Call of Duty releases, this is kind of three games. One Piece I don't even touch. The zombie stuff is not for me. But yeah, there's a campaign here and there's multiplayer content. I'll talk about both because I have experience with both this weekend. Um, real quick, the campaign. So they've doing something a little interesting with the campaign this year. It looks like what they're trying to do is instead of doing a just boilerplate corridor shooter Call of Duty ass campaign, a lot of the missions incorporate stuff from the other modes of the game. There's one where there's a little bit of the open world vehicle stuff. One mission that I'm actually on right now involves some open-ended spy shit. It feels a little bit like a GoldenEye or like a little bit of a Hitman where it's kind of open-ended. They put you in a location and they're like, hey, talk to these people, sneak behind these curtains and try to find something. We're not going to tell you where it is, but we'll give you a map kind of stuff. And then later, I heard through the grapevine that there's even some zombie gameplay in the campaign, which is fascinating. I don't know how they're going to implement that. A fantasy sequence or something. I don't know. It is Black Ops, so if you played any of the Black Ops games in the past, you'll know more or less the vibe you're going to get into. It's military intrigue. It's special stuff happening behind government doors. Like the CIA is in on something. You have to find out what. Like there's a double agents and interrogation sequences, grizzled veterans. A lot of the characters from the past of the Black Ops series do return here. So yeah, you know more or less what to expect. But the fact that they're bringing in new kinds of gameplay is interesting and welcome and does shake up the formula a little bit. So if you've been waiting to try a campaign again in a Call of Duty game, then go for this one. This one seems actually pretty interesting. So I played about 3 or 4 missions of that. Um, Also interesting, there's like a little bit of a
Are
hub
you are
zone.
you able to follow the story without having played the previous five? Is there like a recap?
Yeah, yeah. There's
It's a
there
Call of Duty game.
it's a Call of Duty game. You don't really need to know. Like all the dialogue and story stuff is very like action movie stuff.
Right.
Like very much like, where were you on the night of this operation? And they're like, that's I can't tell you, that's classified. Like stuff like that. So you know what you're getting into. Um, on the flip side, multiplayer, hey, it's Call of Duty multiplayer. It's still good, turns out. Like I mentioned briefly last week, what I took from the beta was that they're going back to a very fast gameplay style. It's very much about movement. It's very much about sprinting and jumping. And there's a new omnidirectional sprint and jump now. So it encourages you to do dolphin dives, and you can even dive backwards and side to side now. And it does emphasize a certain speed that last year's game didn't. So if that sounds appealing to you, hey, try it out. It's pretty good this year. I've played a lot of it now, and yeah, it's good. It's a good Call of Duty this year. I think that it's smart to put out this on Game Pass because I think this will benefit from a very lively and constantly popping up multiplayer matchmaking experience, and that's what you're getting right now because of just how accessible it is. There's a lot of people playing it, and that's just good. Plenty of modes, plenty of weapons. The progression of guns is simpler this year than it was in Modern Warfare 3. So yeah, I think it's a overall seems like a tighter, better experience than last year's game. So that's pretty good news.
All right. So, I mean, I know you enjoyed last year, but you're giving a lot of glowing reviews right here
Yeah,
for number
very good.
6.
I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good for a Call of Duty game. It's not perfect, but I feel like they haven't been perfect in a very long time. But if you like Call of Duty at all, I think it's worth trying out this new one to see what it's all about, what the new stuff offers to the plate this year.
All right. Now, I know you're playing on Ultimate, but would you be satisfied with your $17 purchase?
Yes, absolutely. For $17 a month, I think it's a good deal.
No, 70 if you
Oh,
didn't have it.
I mean, yeah, it's Call of Duty. It's going to keep you busy for a very long time. If you like it at all, you're probably going to play it a lot, and you're going to want to grind all the multiplayer to get those weapons where you want them and to unlock new stuff. I'd say Call of Duty's, just like sports games, are always pretty good investments because they kind of last as long as you like put energy into them. They give just as much as you put in a lot of ways.
I know, it reminds me I gotta get back to playing some football
It's true.
because I've been doing some speed running. The second level dropped.
Yes. On
Winter
Astrobot.
Wonderland.
Yes,
Astro
Astrobot's second speedrun level is up. We played a little bit of it. I haven't checked to see if you've beaten my time yet.
Oh, did you beat my time?
I don't know. When I played, I didn't. You didn't have a time up yet.
Oh yeah, I demolished
Okay.
your time.
Okay. Well, like I said, I didn't. I hadn't seen it because I haven't played it
Like
again
two
since.
and a half seconds, 3 seconds is
Okay.
demolishing. So
Demolished.
like we were talking on Sunday about like getting to 35. I was like, yeah, that could beat my time if you get there.
Yeah, we'll see.
All
I'll
right,
try
we'll see.
again.
Yep.
All
All right.
right.
Uh, so we got some games on the docket then coming in
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
Uh, so let's get over into television. We start with the sports section, sports corner,
Hmm.
and we are is it 1 week away? Yes, 1 week away from the trade deadline. And my phone has been going off with all these new trades. I can't keep up
For the NFL, you should say
for the NFL.
specifically.
Yes, we're in the NFL.
Yes.
Um, People are making trades, people are making moves. Uh, Kind of waiting for the Cooper Cup news if they're going to trade him. Otherwise, I think the Texans now need a new receiver because Stephon Diggs is out for the year. So they want to make a run. Cooper Cup's a good kid.
Try
I don't want that to happen.
it.
But yeah, watch your team. Trades are happening on fire this week.
Okay.
So we got a bit of positive news and a bit of negative news in terms of the records. Whereas, where on the negative side, we had an undefeated team lose twice in the same week. The Minnesota Vikings not only lost on Sunday night, but then played on Thursday night and lost there as well. I'm sorry, three times this week because then Governor Walz and AOC played Madden where they got stopped again.
Yeah, well, in real life and in digital life, the Vikings can't catch a break.
No, they cannot. But on the flip side of that, well, not on the flip side of that, that does mean that there's only one team left that is undefeated and chasing the 72 Dolphins, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
But every other team in the league has at least two losses, except for one. That's the Detroit Lions. But there's a caveat to that. Their one loss comes from Kansas City on opening night. So technically, they've been undefeated since from week two on, you know, and they'll probably stay that way. And, maybe these two teams can meet again in the Super Bowl
Okay.
because they do play on opposite sides there. That would be quite a thing to have both the opening game and the closing game of a season be the same teams. All right. Let's move on into what we are currently watching, which is the MLB and the World Series.
Yes, last week we knew what the matchup would be, but it had not started yet. Now we are 3 games in,
And it's almost over
and it's
as
all it's
Dodgers
just
looking to sweep.
all Dodgers. Just all Dodgers. The Yankees cannot get an offense going, and even when they do, the Dodgers find out a way to end their momentum.
Yep. Freddie Freeman on the
Yes.
Dodgers with an MVP style campaign, 5-game home run streak,
Yes.
including a walk-off grand slam.
Yes, which set the tone for the series right at the end of the game one. It has been just an uphill battle for the Yankees since, trying to gain any kind of semblance of control over these games. It's not too dissimilar to what happened in the championship series, because you see the like the going in the narrative about the Dodgers was, we'll see if they have the pitching for this. And it's not mattered. It has not mattered because the Yankees are not taking advantage of situations where even they should be taking advantage of their pitchers. Like they aren't swinging them they should be. Also, last night's game was really plagued by bad officiating on the umps call, like on the ball and strikes calls. And so it's just all the karma in the universe seems to be just doing in the Yankees right now, and they can't escape the negative energy.
Well, because it's one thing that I noticed during the first two games that the Dodgers swing at everything, limit
Yes,
everything, try
they're
and get the
aggressive,
ball in play. Just put your swing out there.
and it's
Put
working
that
for
out
them.
there.
And it's working for them. They're good enough where that's not leading to strikeouts. It's leading to contact, and it's leading to men on bases.
Right. Whereas the Yankee strategy is run up that pitch down
Right.
count, get those foul balls, let them use up their pitchers so they have to
Yeah.
switch them out.
But it's not working because a new guy comes in and they can't hit him either. It's
Hmm.
just that they need to rewrite the playbook is what that needs to happen. And I hope that starts tonight, because if it doesn't, the Dodgers will sweep. And that is not what anybody saw coming. Like, there's just no fight in the Yankees yet, and they need to show some.
Yeah, but it's not like they're going out there toothless. That first game went into overtime.
It did. It
They
did.
have been putting up runs,
Yeah.
just not enough.
Not enough, especially not last night. But yeah,
I mean,
it'll be
they were
interesting to
down 4
see.
the entire game, it felt like, until the
Yeah.
ninth.
We should also mention the other interesting wrinkle of the series, which was Shohei Ohtani's
Shoulder.
surprise injury. While stealing a base, he dislocated his shoulder and has been kind of I mean, he returned play, but like probably isn't playing 100%. And so it'll be interesting to see how he's used going forward in the series if it does go on further than tonight.
I mean, he is still in the lineup.
Yeah.
So they're not taking him out. He is running really awkwardly, holding his shirt. I
Yeah.
was like, should you be out here?
But yeah, so there's that an interesting wrinkle. And the last interesting thing about the series, which, like we said, will resolve tonight potentially, and if not, it will go on. But yeah, is what this means for Juan Soto. at the end of this. I think nobody expected this to be done so quickly. And so if it does end tonight and the Yankees are losers, what is the move with Soto? What do you think the Yankees do? Do they let him walk?
From what I keep reading, every time he hits a home run, it adds another $1 million to his contract.
I made that joke last week too, yeah.
Yeah. So
But
if he does well for himself, but not the
yeah,
team, there's only one man on the team. There's only so much he can do
yeah.
until he goes to the Dodgers next year, and then they just like win the table again.
I made the joke with Christy last night. I was like, what if he ends up back in San Diego? Who knows?
I
Anyway,
don't know. Hey, the Angels have an open slot he can play.
that she said that, and I was like, there's no way. Why would he want to go to Anaheim? Why would anyone want to come here?
Uh, Nobody wants to go here except for the
Yeah,
paycheck.
guess so. We'll see. We'll see where Soto's fate ends up. But
Well, wherever he ends up, he could probably purchase Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball
yeah.
because it officially sold at auction to the tune of $4.4 million.
Damn.
Which means if you want to buy that 50th home run ball, you got to pay it more than that because that thing is not going to lose value.
Yikes.
So there is still that outstanding pending lawsuit from the fan who did not come up with the ball and said it got ripped away from his hands, but yeah, that's not going to hold up in court. But yeah, congratulations. You turned one lucky ticket and one lucky catch to $4.4 million
Yep. Yep.
before
Good.
tax.
Enjoy the house you get to buy now.
The the one-story apartment in Los Angeles.
To the anyway.
Anyways, as I mentioned last week, it's the most wonderful time of the year as
Yeah.
all four major sports are occurring, and the NBA
Hmm.
unveiled its statue of Dwayne Wade out front of Miami Stadium. And Dwayne Wade likes it. He approves of the statue. Other people and critics, not so much. I think it's fine. I get it. I don't like that it's like pointing down though. Like it's pointing down. It's like not even like pointing at his jersey. It's like pointing away and down. Like I get the pose, but also it just doesn't look pleasing to like take a picture with. Unless you're gonna go like do the same picture, same pose with it, I
You
guess.
know that's what everybody's gonna do,
Yeah,
surely.
that's gotta be what it is.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple of undefeated teams still, including the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the reigning champions Boston Celtics. Whereas on the flip side, the winless include the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz.
So I have a basketball question for you.
I may have a basketball answer for you.
So I know we talked last year about Christy and I were almost going to get into basketball. Then it didn't happen because we
Right.
realized, oh, you can't see anybody unless you get the league pass, basically, unless they're the Clippers or the Lakers.
Yes.
So because of where we live. So I got a text message the other day from Spectrum saying, "Hey, did you know you can watch basically all the Lakers games for free?" And I'm like, "Wait, even without cable?" Turns out, yes.
Hmm.
So I went in, checked this out, and yeah, sure enough, I didn't have to have cable, and it's just letting me watch Lakers games. So the question is, should I watch Lakers games?
Considering the Lakers have only lost one game this season so far, yeah, I think that LeBron is literally going to will his team to another uh preseason championship, to become back-to-back champions and give Brony a ring, a trophy. Be like, yeah, here, son. I won this for you.
Yeah.
And
I,
then see what happens after that for like actual NBA playoffs. Yeah, the play-in tournament, or not the play-in tournament, the mid-season tournament that they're gonna
yeah, whatever
do.
they're calling it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
Uh,
seems potentially
Fun.
interesting. It's just like it's the easiest way to like to watch basketball, and I'm still not sure if I'm gonna get into it. I watched one game and I was like, I have a really hard time following this. Like I get
What
it
do you mean? You
concept.
put the ball in the hole.
So I was explaining this to Christy. So it's like I get it conceptually. Like I know the concept of basketball. Like
Mhm.
obviously I know what you're supposed to do. But I think the intricacies of it, and you could say this about a lot of sports, that you can kind of get the idea, but then like when there's stoppage of play, like why? And like what are the fouls? Like what are the possibilities of all these fouls? Like what happens? What are the rules when it happen like when with timeouts? What are the rules with like, like there's little bits and pieces that I don't really know about. And so that's the stuff that I'm trying to still figure out. And so, like, the moment to moment of watching it is trying to decode. Also, something that happens in basketball that I've noticed that doesn't really happen in baseball or football is I don't know who the hell they're talking about sometimes because every player has a nickname. like,
Yeah.
like every play, like they're rattling off all these names. I'm like, can you just say their name? Because I don't know who you're talking about. Like,
Sometimes that is their name.
so yeah, that was my experience watching the one game I've watched so far. I was just like, okay, I think I know some of what's going on, but I don't know what everything's going on, and I have no idea who's who. So yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
I mean, you'd probably be even more confused watching hockey too.
I mean,
At least with the NBA, like the names
weird,
are on the back of
yeah,
their jerseys.
right. That's true. Weirdly enough, though, is I feel like I understand the rules of hockey more than I do the rules of basketball
Right.
because
Put the
I've been to
puck in the
hockey
net.
games. Yeah,
Put the puck in the net.
like
Don't
I know
cross
what
the blue
icing
line until
is.
the other people.
Yeah, like I know what icing
The puck
is, and
does.
like I know what and I know what like penalty box is and stuff like that. I know more about the intricacies of hockey than I do about basketball. So I don't
Well, just know that they can't fight on the basketball court.
know. Well, they shouldn't. I believe you could do that,
Yes, it's
but
called technical.
yeah, you would not want to do that.
I mean, unless you're on our test. Never forget.
Right. Right. Oh, I
Uh,
even know what that is. All
yes,
right.
you know what a run our test is.
I no, I knew what happened. Anyways,
Yes.
moving on.
Anyways, lastly, in hockey, speaking of, the
Hmm.
Winnipeg Jets got off to a blazing hot start with 8-game win streak, only to lose last night to Edmonton. So womp womp. But
Womp
congratulations,
womp.
you are the hottest team on ice. Pun intended.
Well, all right.
All right. I think that's all I got for sports then.
Okay. Well, with that being it for sports, we will move on to the rest of television. Next, we'll talk about some television news. And we are brought back to a familiar location of Saturday Night Live. But we're not talking about the actors, we're talking about special effects workers, especially visual effects workers that work on the show. Good news, they're officially unionizing with IATSE. The 16-member bargaining unit, all of whom unanimously supported the move, have also received voluntary recognition by their employer. Hell yeah. The VFX workers' unionization follows that of the editors who began their union campaign in 2022 and were similarly recognized. Earlier this year, VFX workers at Apple Studios declared intent to unionize with IATSE. And last year, which we covered, the VFX artists at Marvel Studios and Walt Disney Pictures did the same. I mean, obviously, good news always here. We love a union, and we especially love these visual effects workers unionizing with IATSE because it's good. It like brings them all into one bargaining area where they can get pay that recognizes what kind of work they do. And you might not think that there's a lot of visual effects on Saturday Night Live, but they don't just do live stuff. All the pre-taped stuff will need visual effect treatment in a lot of cases.
Yep, they do a lot of pre-tapes. They do a lot of the digital shorts as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the openers, a lot of the graphics.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than just, oh, it's a live show. Why do you need visual effects for a live show? They
Right.
do a lot of work, and a lot of those are on French time schedules.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the Seth Meyers and Lonely Island podcast about
Mhm.
their digital shorts that they've created.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot that goes into it that's then just running around like shooting that it's all planning, pre-planning, and visual works effects that go into it.
Mhm.
leading up to the actual release of the show.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them on joining IATSE.
Congrats. That's only good news. So that's
Yeah, it's
that's
also good to
that's
see that it's
great.
recognized by their employer as well.
Yes, that is the trickiest part in a lot of cases. So, all
Yep.
right, cool. All right, you have a thought. What is going on here? You watched something.
I don't know how to describe this, and I don't know why I watched it. Maybe because it's just an interesting title. So it's a new HBO show, docu comedy series.
Okay,
Think like Drunk History,
sure.
where it's a person telling their story, but reenacted using comedic actors. It's called It's Florida, Man. Play There's a comma there. Play
Mhm.
on Florida Man, and it's
Yeah,
about these
yeah.
tales that take place in Florida that are, when told, too good to be true, but also like, oh yeah, that sure that could happen in Florida. Uh, I don't know where they pull these people from. I don't know why they chose these stories, but I really like the interpretations that they do with them. And these hard to tell if it's funny or not, but just like the way they tell it, similar to like Drunk History, it keeps you going. It keeps you pulling in. It's like, oh, I gotta see what happens next. Oh, here's like the twists and the turns and the pulls and like, oh, like you're kind of like invested as they're telling these stories. So it is set up as a documentary style where not where I thought it was going to be like initially. I thought it was just be like, oh, like here's a story ripped from the headline that we're reenacting. But
Mhm.
no, like I'm sure that's where they get the stories from. But then they like find the actual people and they tell their stories and then they provide information like actual antidotes, like actual pictures, actual stuff that from the experience and relay it in this episodic format. It's funny, it's interesting. It's not for everyone. It is really out there in the stories that they choose.
Hmm.
Uh,
But that's
but
Florida, man.
yeah, that it's Florida, man.
Yeah.
Your mileage will vary heavily on this. I don't see this thing going past one season, but I also see this one season being super unique and random. And they make it a second one, but I don't think it should. But that's not going to stop me from watching this, though. It's like the curiosity factor. It's the train, the car crash factor. You want to slow down, just take a peek, just enough to see, like, ooh, what is actually going on here?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, I had not
It
even
is
heard of
very
this.
interesting. Yeah, it's on Max, HBO, late nights.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, yeah,
Okay. That's Florida, man.
hard to recommend it past that
Yeah.
because it's anthologic, so every episode's different. You never know what you're gonna get each week.
Right. Okay. There you go.
Yep.
I'll just mention briefly that the final season of What We Do in the Shadows premiered last week. So I'll be watching that and see how that they wrap up the whole thing. It'll be fascinating. Other than that, yeah, I don't think there's any other
Only
TV.
Merged in the Building, final episode of the
Yes.
season is tonight. Well, it's
So we'll
today. It's
talk
out right
about
now.
that. So yeah, we'll talk about that next
Next
week.
week. Yep.
Cool. All right, sounds good. All right, that means we can move on into some
Ooh,
cancellations and renewals.
that means next week we're talking about both Agatha All Along and
Yeah.
Only Birds in the Building.
Oh, next week is going to be a crazy show. We have it's going to have so
So
much
many
to talk
thoughts,
about.
like so many thoughts are just starting to pile up, and it's an election.
So get ready. But first, cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
Well, thankfully, no cancellations this week, just a handful of renewals. First up, Prime Video will be bringing back The Legend of Vox Machina for a fourth season.
Machina. Come on.
Machina. Machina? I don't know. I was reading it. I was thinking about it. Netflix will bring back Virgin River for a seventh season. And Netflix
I'm
will
not going to
bring
make a virgin joke there. If that's what
no
you're
good
waiting for.
good call. Netflix will bring back Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft, which premiered earlier this month, I believe, um,
Yes.
for a second season already. So
This is the animated Lara Croft on Netflix.
Right. I haven't checked this out. I don't know if it's any good.
I guess you have to now. Let's get a second season.
I don't know. All right. Then we have a couple of deaths, real briefly. First, we have Jack Jones, age 86, was a singer responsible for songs like Wives and Lovers and the theme from Love Boat. Also was an actor. In fact, did a voice on Over the Garden Wall, a perennial fall favorite. So there you go.
Mhm. Yeah. Uh, that famous deep love boat intro,
Yeah.
Jack Jones.
Oh, will be missed. And then similarly, Phil Lesh, age 84, a Hall of Famer, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that is, as a member of the Grateful Dead, passed this week. I saw a lot of musicians put out tributes to Phil Lesh, very beloved in music circles. So sad to see him go.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's being greeted by Bill Walton now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go console your local deadhead. I'm sure everybody listening to this knows at least one. All
Yes.
right, let's move on to the last part of the show, which of course is the movies. And we always start the movie section with the weekend box office numbers. Your number one movie, against all odds, is, of course, Venom: The Last Dance, which made $51 million this week. Although not a like a doesn't hold a candle to what it made internationally. Did you see
Oh yeah.
this?
This movie is an international movie.
Yeah. Huge hit overseas. Everywhere else, it made over $100 million. Only 51 here.
I mean, The Joker also made $50 million.
It's true.
It's on par with it.
Yeah,
Comic book movie.
but yeah, so Venom made about pretty much what we expected it to make, at least domestically.
Hmm.
Your number two movie, Smile 2, coming in with another $9.5 million. That's at 40. Number three, The Wild Robot, still kicking, $6.8 million. That's at 111 million. Number four, Conclave, debuted to $6.6 million. And rounding out your top five, We Live in Time, still living with another $4.8 million. That's at 11.7 total. Sorry, Andrew Garfield.
He's used to it.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, Coming this week though, only two new releases. It looks like a
Yes,
movie called Here.
that is Robert Zemeckis, Robin Wright, and Tom Hanks teaming up to where the camera does not move the entire time, called Here.
Weird.
Yes,
Hmm.
but I'm also fascinated to want to check this out.
Yeah.
Partially
Okay.
Robert Zemeckis because it's very hit and
Right.
miss.
Yeah, I don't know about that guy. Man, likes to try new things. I guess that's good,
He
but
makes big swings. Sometimes they
yeah,
work.
quite a swing.
Sometimes you get Welcome to Marwin.
Yes, sometimes you do. Or the Polar Express. And then last we
Hey,
get,
Polar Express is now a classic.
I don't even want to
You're
look
thinking
at
of
it.
Mars Needs Moms.
No, I am not.
Now
Although
you
both
are.
both are creeping. Both are creepy in their own way. And then also this week, A Real Pain. No, it's not a movie about you. It's a movie about what's a real pain?
This is a road trip of brothers across Europe, starring Jesse Eisenberg and uh, Culkin,
Which one?
Kieran Culkin.
Thank you.
Which
Keep
one?
clicking.
Not the
Yeah,
one,
you have to
not
be
the one that retired
specific.
from acting. The one that is currently acting.
Fair enough. All right, there you go. Two new releases. Though you'll probably just see Venom and hate watch it. Moving
Oh
on
no.
to
Well, I'll get to
the
what I watched.
movie news. Our movie news this week, because everything has to come back, is about yet another reboot. This time,
Hey, but it's a Halloween, so we have to
yeah,
at least have one Halloween inspired story for this episode.
yes, a reboot that might appeal to people who like their movies scary, or at least funny and scary. Yes, scary movie. A reboot was announced at CinemaCon, and it has finally come together with the franchise's architects reuniting for the first time in 18 years for a new original screenplay. Yes, that's Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, and Keenan Ivory Wayans, who said in a quote, "We couldn't be more excited to be part of a new scary movie and work with each other again. This is a franchise we created more than 20 years ago. We remember people laughing in the aisles and hope to see that happen again. We look forward to working with Miramax boss Jonathan Glickman and his team at the new Miramax. By the way, there's a new Miramax, which why bother naming it that? Uh, to bring these laughs
Resurrected.
to theaters where they belong. It's a double reunion, end quote. The scary movie comedies during the early aughts, in case you are too young to remember this, grossed north of $896 million worldwide through the 5 installments. Did you ever like the scary movie movies? I never really cared for them.
I liked them just because it was, young. I was young and it was comedy and taking stuff that was scary, turning it on its head. But then it got away from that and just started doing general movie like comedy
Sure.
spoofs. And then
Yeah.
that spawned off into their own comedy
Right.
spoofs.
They did like Epic Movie and like, yeah, a bunch of other
Disaster
spin-offs.
movie,
Yeah, Disaster
Meet the
Movie.
Spartans.
Ugh, ugh, ugh. Yeah, there's some real stinkers in there.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, they always did scary. I think scary movie got up to five. That's eight, right?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
They only did
Only
a
the
few of
first
them.
three.
Yeah,
And
I
they
don't
did
think that
five.
right, they're not responsible for the really shitty ones.
Yeah, the last two. But
But yeah,
still, out of five movies,
sure.
you average $300 million.
Guess so.
Well,
Um,
some of them are doing more heavy lifting than the others. Let's be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess there's an audience for this. I don't know if this will hit as well as it did in the
I
past,
don't know what
but
they're gonna do though, because like the fun of scary movie, the first one
yeah.
was that it was a comedic take on the slasher genre.
Yeah, and I think
Now horror movies are more like psychological thrillers.
well, that's interesting, right? Because it's like I feel like there's two very distinct kinds of horror movies being made right now. You do have ones that are closer to that slasher like film pedigree, and then like you said, you have like the Jordan Peele like films, the
Mhm.
more thought-provoking films that are like less, oh my God, look at all the blood, and more about like, oh, I'm creeped out by the concept. All those like yeah, and so I don't know what you do if you're a scary movie. Do you go after both? Do you try to do something like that? Like, do you or are you just like going for the lowest hanging fruit? Like, I don't know. It'll be real interesting to see what that is.
Combination of both, all three, and I think it's interesting to see what kind of comedy they do go with because
Yeah.
what worked 20 years ago probably not going
Will
to
not
work
work
this
anymore. Trust me.
anymore.
Don't go back to those early ones because they probably do not hold up. Anyway,
All right.
that scary movie. So we'll see.
Yep.
All right, you mentioned you have a thought. You watched all sorts of things this week, I guess. But this is a movie. You watched a movie.
Yes. I watched a movie. I went to a theater. I actively sought this movie out.
Okay.
So I went in with the intention of watching Saturday night,
Right.
and then it wasn't playing in my local theater, or it wasn't playing the time that I was like could go and
Whoops.
watch it.
Yeah.
So taking your advice and not watching Venom, The Last Dance, and saving myself
Yes.
from it,
Good call.
and not finding The Wild Robot because it's now moving its way to streaming, I decided to watch Conclave.
Okay.
I
What
had
is
mentioned this
Conclave?
last week, that it was on my radar and I was one of the possibilities for me to watch.
Okay. All right.
This is Ralph Fiennes is the Dean of the Vatican,
Right. Yes.
and the Pope has died. So it is up to him to orchestrate the cardinals, gather them at the Vatican, and thus elect a new pope.
The St. Louis Cardinals or the Arizona Cardinals?
The Italian cardinals,
Got
and South American cardinals, and the
it.
French cardinals, and the African cardinals, and the Ivory Coast cardinal, and the U.S. cardinals, and yeah, they literally like do a scene like straight, like I swear, like SNL could take this thing and make a comedy out of it, Mean Girl style, where all the cardinals are just like bitch talking each other about like, oh, like you don't want a French cardinal taking the throne, don't you? Nah, we don't want that to happen. Do you really want one of them over there? Come sit with us. Come gather our votes. So, as much as this is about like religion, the Catholic Church, and the different views of the Bible, all of that is put aside, the petty bullshit that goes on between all these people. Because everyone has secrets. Everyone is trying to vie for votes to be elected pope. But there's one thing that they don't know, which is a person who should be elected pope should also be the person that does not actively seek the throne because it's going to, like, run their own agenda. You want someone more godly like, or at least that's what Ralph Fiennes is trying to do, is trying to eliminate, partially eliminate the competition, but also partially trying to be like, I'm telling you guys, I don't want this. Stop voting for me. But he's
Yeah.
actively taking out the competition and be like, oh, this person did this. This person has this skeleton. This person over here is doing this stuff. It's like, good, you're exposing it, but also people are now more trusting of you, but you don't want it. So what are they going to do if you eventually get elected? Um, if you take just that kind of concept away from it, you're going to walk away and have a good time. I
Mhm.
had a fun time if you just with that, just on that basic premise.
Okay.
But this is a
But
film directed by the same guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front. It's got layers. It
okay.
is deep. I love the score in this thing. I love the cinematography in this thing. This might be the best movie I've seen so far this year.
Wow, that's high praise.
It's really good. It's really well done. There are themes within here that run deep past Catholicism. I mean, the seven sins, rear them ugly heads in here.
Mm.
The Ten Commandments, all of them broken in here. If you look for all those seeds that are planted in this film, you will see how even the most godly of men are not all that godly. And the twist at the end, no one, I swear, no one sees coming. If you tell me you know what the twist is going in this movie, I'll call bullshit that you didn't see a spoiler because it is so far out there that it hits you like a ton of bricks
Mm.
and then makes you think about every single action that occurred up to that point and every single conversation and how it one thing I really like when a film forces you to watch the film again and recontextualize it in a new manner. All which is why I liked the other film, possibly contender two, It's What's Inside, which I talked about 2 weeks ago. It's a really, really stupidly good film. I implore, if you're able to watch this,
Hmm.
go watch this. Ralph Fiennes, give him Best Actor nomination right now.
All right. You heard it
Stanley
here.
Tucci, amazing in this thing.
Oh, the Tucci gang's in here.
Yeah, he is. Just
Okay.
these
All right.
very subtle, like there's subtle hints in there, and there's not so subtle hints, but everything is within the story. Apparently, I guess it's based off a book, which I recently saw, so it's got good source material. It's really gripping. Like within the first 10 minutes, even if you're not like that into it, just the fact that it opens with the Pope is dead. We
Yeah.
need to gather the masses. And people start making moves immediately. Get your mind going of, oh, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Is this protocol or is this nefarious reasons? And it's all kept hushed, like just under the thin veil of the truth coming out until the very end.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
excellent, excellent writing, excellent directing. I don't think I've seen enough praise of this thing. Go watch
Okay.
it.
I mean, hey, as soon as it comes home, yeah, I'll definitely check this out.
I believe this will come to Hulu
Okay.
because it's Focus Features
Yeah,
Fox Searchlight,
that sounds right.
which
So yeah.
really threw me off in the previews because it opened with Mufasa and Moana 2 and made me question if I was even in the right movie.
Yeah, you're like, wait, who are they marketing this to in this Pope
And then
movie?
Wicked showed up, and I'm like, wait, what?
Wow.
Am I in this is supposed to be an indie movie? Why am I seeing big blockbusters here?
Yeah.
But yeah, Conclave. If you haven't heard about it before, I'm telling you now, come award season, it's gonna be popping up.
All right. Well, watch this space for that then. Cool. That's exciting. I like when we're getting closer and closer to award season where more of these kind of films start coming out. That sounds like the opening salvo in the season here. That's good to know.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Did you watch anything? Any movies?
No movies this week. So yeah, I'm sure there's stuff coming soon that'll be on both our radars.
All right.
But in the
Then
meantime,
with that, let's
yeah,
wrap it up.
that'll do it for the Media Boat podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week, like we said, for a jam-packed show full of all sorts of things, and hopefully not wishing that we didn't have to live in this country. But we'll see.
We'll see what happens. We have at least four thoughts to talk about, maybe
Yes,
five.
maybe five. We'll see. But for all that, you'll have to tune in next time. And how do you do that, you ask? Well, go to our YouTube channel where you can see the video version of this podcast. You can go there, like, subscribe, and leave comments, and click the bell for notifications for when we go or when we put up new videos. You can also find us in audio version if you're classic like that, if you like the podcast classics. You can listen to us on podcast services like Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. Search Media Boat Podcast on your catcher of choice, and you'll find our show. You can also find us spread out across the internet, places such as MediaBoatPodcast.com, our X account or Twitter account, if you will, MediaBoat at MediaBoatCast. We're also on Blue Sky. Welcome if you're a new user there. Search MediaBoat and you'll find our account there. And you can find us playing video games every once in a while on twitch.tv/MediaBoat. And last but definitely not least, if you want to ask us a question, get feedback, whatever you want to do, have it read on the air on this show, email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, that will do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week for another episode. So tune in
Oh,
then.
yeah. As we mentioned, it's going to be a big episode
Big
next
episode.
week with possibly breaking news. We will find
We'll
out
see.
next time.
All right. See you guys next
Okay,
time.
bye.
Bye.